G'day guys, Mac with the Outer Circle, and in this episode of Getting Started in the Horus Heresy, we're going to be looking at the Alpha Legion. So the Alpha Legion are all about subterfuge and exploiting the weaknesses in their enemies, creating weaknesses in their enemies, making their enemies bicker, infight, all that kind of thing. These are very much the spies and saboteurs versus the Raven Guard's reconnaissance and pre-planning, we'll say, pre-planned assaults and surgical strikes. The Alpha Legion is a lot more dark in their approach, not beyond doing very cruel things to do so. Now, the basic box set's, of course, a good place to sort of start, and Mark 6 armor, like with the Raven Guard, is natural to the Legion. Now, what do you do with it? Where do you go? Well, first thing, of course, Liber Hereticus. This is the book for you. Whether you're playing Loyalist, Traitor, whatever it might be, this has got the rules for you covered. Second thing is Decals. They are your friend. This is not a symbol you really want to freehand. Trust me, I know. I've learned the hard way. It is a pretty good decal sheet. Mostly sets of more than 5, as in like sets of 10. The problem is, though, you will need 2 of it, because it is filled up with a lot of big symbols and icons, and as you can see on the left-hand side, a lot of the other icons left over, there's too few of them there's sets of 8 and sets of 6. That's not very helpful when you need at least 10 for most units. There's even sets of 4 in there, which will do no units in the Alpha Legion lineup. So, yeah, you really need 2 of it. Too much of the decal sheet is devoted to the large Hydra symbols on the right-hand side, and whilst they're great, it's a little bit of a stretch. Going from there, the Alpha Legion Cataphractii Praetor over at Forge World, just a natural inclusion. Goes directly into the Terminator squads. It gives them that character to buff the squad, add a bit more killing power to them. Plus, it's a pretty neat looking model, and it exemplifies the Legion, and he's busy enough and got enough going on that he'll stand out from your Terminators, but he's not so ludicrous and over the top and busy that it becomes weird seeing him side by side with them, where you're like, ugh, it just looks like he's from a different army. It won't be like that, which is good. Of course, the Alpha Legion actually have some of the best upgrades. They're called Mark 4 upgrades, but you can see there's a couple that are basically modified beakies in there, and I just say get a heap of them and spread them through your force because they look so damn good. And on that note, the Headhunter Kill Team upgrade set, spread these through the force. I think especially on characters. If you want to create a bunch of HQ units, that is Centurions or even Praetors, or even upgrading the 2 basic ones that come in the box, these have you covered. They've got these awesome Alpha Legion style Mark 6 shoulder pads. They have obviously these sort of recon-focused helmets with little sensors and stuff, and the Hydra styling with the fangs on the helmets, and the scaled chests with little like shroud bombs and daggers and grenades, and all this equipment that really just sells them as being something a little bit unique. Like even just the little plate that comes in the kit with Alpha Legion iconography on it. That's like a little tasset that hangs down the side of the leg. You can put those on shoulders, you can put them on your characters, you can use them to cover bits you don't like. Because the Alpha Legion are not, I was going to say not the most ostentatious Legion. I know it sounds really silly when you're seeing models that are covered in sculpted on scales. But when it comes to their HQs especially, the Alpha Legion are not renowned for having HQs that are so dissimilar to their basic infantry. Because the whole idea was that they didn't want their characters to stick out, so the characters were not just picked off, sniped off, that sort of thing, by their enemies. They didn't want to be obvious who was in charge. And even if the character did get killed, the Alpha Legion were very much of the command was spread out amongst the Legion. It was decentralized. It wasn't all contained by the Praetor, for instance. He would be nominally in control of the battle, but even if he died, the rest of the guys would just carry on with their tasks. They knew what they were doing. They were that kind of Legion. Very much into that whole military, improvise, adapt, overcome mindset, which is unique amongst the Legions. The only other Legion that sort of does that is the Raven Guard, and some Legions, like the Ultramarines and Imperial Fist, could be incredibly rigid in their tactics. What the Iron Tenth is probably the worst for it. Ferrus Manus's Legion were just renowned for being, this is the plan, we're sticking to it, no matter how many casualties they took, and some, like the World Eaters and the Space Wolves, pretty much didn't have a plan beyond, we're Astartes, we're going to run in there and everything will die, which, well, it's not a bad plan. It does work, but it's one of those funny things. Anyway, back with the Outer Circle. Hope you found this informative in some level. We're going to come back pretty soon to the Legions, and we're going to start looking at the next sort of level. Where do you go from here? What have we done in the first Getting Started series with looking at the Legions and, hey, here's, you bought the box, what do you do next, right? We're going to go and add vehicles. We're going to add dreadnoughts. We're going to add flyers. We're going to add jet bikes, assault marines, breach escorts. We're going to have a lot of fun in the next set. We're going to talk about more advanced tactics, like, hey, your Legion rules are this, therefore this is what you need to keep in mind. That sort of mentality. Anyway, that's it from me, Mac with the Outer Circle. Hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to catch you in the second part in this series.